All right, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And today I have the man, the myth, that guy, Giancarlo. How you doing, man?
What's up, man? Thank you for having me on your channel.
Oh,
I saw your video, and I said this off camera, right?
yeah.
Some of the things I did agree with for sure, and then some of the other things I did not agree with. And there was, I feel like there was a ton of engagement on the video. We saw a ton of comments, and
Oh,
I
love
thought,
it.
hey, let's just hop in. Let's have like a follow-up secondary discussion here.
Yeah.
And just kind of go through some of our thoughts because don't get me wrong, I have done more than my fair share of complaining about Bandai in my day. You know what I mean? So I'm
Oh,
right
yeah.
there with you on some of those points. And basically, if you just want to jump in, go ahead. If you want to lead the discussion, we can just start
Yeah.
on whatever you want to start on.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, first of all, thank you so much for reaching out and, wanting to, do a video because definitely wasn't expecting that. So really, really appreciate that, man. But yeah, so Bandai as a whole, basically, I've been playing this game since day one. Picked it up at an anime convention. They had some cards for sale. Picked some up, some star decks, a box, and went home, played with my buddy. He quit playing because I kept Beerus General demolishing him like every time, and good times. But I love this game, and I want to see it succeed. I want it to grow. I want it to be more popular than it is because I think it is one of the best card games I've ever played in my life, and I think it is one of the most diverse, or I guess more like strategic games you can play right now because you can essentially interact with like everything. Like hell, there's 2 counter windows, for example. So like I want the game to succeed, but I'm also not someone who's going to just ignore the bad things a company's doing or the designers of a game are doing, because if you don't complain about, or I guess, sorry, I like to say it's critiquing. If you don't critique what they're
Yeah.
doing, good and bad, nothing's going to change, or at least that's how I see it. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with everything you just said. So, like, background for me, I also started in set one. I've been playing forever. I took very minimal breaks. There are some formats in the past that were just, I could not play them. I didn't like them, but I've been pretty much going ham on Dragon Ball since set one, and
Yeah.
I love it. It's my favorite card game I've ever played. I know a ton of Dragon Balls. We played every card game from Yu-Gi-Oh to Magic, Pokemon,
Oh,
etc. And my dog's chilling with me. So we've done. There's a ton of strategy. The game's amazing. There have been missteps. There have been mistakes. And yeah, like I said, I've done more than my fair share of complaining. People have called me out for complaining too much, which it is what it, right? I mean, I
Right.
did probably.
Right.
And but I agree too. It's important for people to voice their opinions and their critiques because there are missteps and mistakes that can happen, and maybe we can, as a player base, we can input our opinions to change the company's mind. I know the biggest example was last year, the Fest Miami and Texas were supposed to be unison warrior block only, and there was huge community outcry and say, hey, we don't want unison warrior block, we want regular format. And
Right.
and Bandai actually listened to us, and they said, okay, Texas and Miami are not going to be unison warrior, they're going to be full format now. And
Yeah.
that was a great example of the community kind of coming together to voice our opinions and saying, hey, we don't like this, can we not
Right.
do this, please?
Oh, exactly. I remember that, and I was like, wow, Bandai actually did something right and listened to the community, because guess what? Without the community, they don't have a game to sell. And I want to think they try to make us at least, the happiest we can be by listening to our feedback. So obviously the video that I put out basically was going on about how lately the game just feels like it's an afterthought for Bandai, where they're focusing a lot on One Piece and Battle Spirits, their own IP, and Digimon to a certain extent. Dragon Ball just kind of felt like the redheaded stepchild of the family, and it just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like they're putting in the effort that they used to in this game because they have so many other games to work on. And a big thing that I started talking about was the ban list, being late. And at that point, when I recorded the video, I actually recorded it last Thursday, but didn't have a chance to upload it until I think, that Monday or so.
Yeah, it came out at 11 p.m. I was in bed.
Right.
Like I'm ready to go to. I'm old, right? I go to bed at 10 o'clock, right?
Oh, yeah, same.
I just remember I'm ready to go to bed, and then they dropped the bed, and now I literally stayed up until 1 a.m. because when a ban list comes out, you're hyped, you're talking about it.
Oh yeah.
You got to talk to all your friends. I made a meme about Champa going away. Rest in peace,
I
Champa.
saw that. That was great.
And it was just like, I can't go. It's 11 o'clock, and I can't go to bed now. What's going on here? Like,
right. And there was no announcement about it. They just dropped it, and it just felt to me like a quick, we need to come up with a ban list. Just throw it out there, because not only did the post have a bunch of spelling errors, it didn't have the reasoning for each of the bans that typically is associated with each of the ban lists we've had prior. The images that they used were super small for most of the cards, except for the newest ones. So it just felt like someone quickly threw it together to throw something out there. And I was actually talking to Mikey about this. My brother, and he basically at one point he actually hold on. I actually have the message pulled up because he was talking in our group chat about it, and he basically said, "It is honest to God the worst list I've seen in a long time. No, there was zero critical thinking, no bigger picture considered." And I think that was, at least in my opinion, that's a big, I agree with that. It just felt like, well, we need to get something out there. We haven't put any thought behind this. Let's just throw some cards out that most people are complaining about. That being Crimson, the big one that got hit. Champa and Kai, though, was pretty surprising, to be honest. And then Boo being limited, yeah, I kind of saw that coming. I don't think it needed to be, but I understand it. I'm not too upset by that. But Crimson being banned, that was kind of a wow. You really just let Red just you're letting Red have their way with the meta again. At least,
yeah.
First thought. That was my first thought they were doing, because Crimson was the perfect counter to Red. And now that that's gone, there's not necessarily a blue leader that's going to immediately be like, yep, that's the next one. It's going to be kind of a free-for-all to figure out the next big blue leader, but sorry, I'm going on a little bit of rant here.
No, you're good, bro. It's okay, yeah. Get it out.
But you were talking about some things that you agreed with in the video and things you don't, which I love, those type of discussions, because one of my best friends, Derek, same thing. He messaged me. He's like, this is an L take. This is the reasons why. And I love him for it, because me and him have arguments all the time about everything in life. So, yeah. But he's still a really good friend of mine. But what are some things let's start off on a positive note. What's some things you disagreed with me?
Yeah, okay. So we covered a lot just there, right? So let's break it down. Okay. Yeah. Number one, when you say that you feel like Dragon Ball is an afterthought for Bandai.
Right.
So I don't know anything about what goes on behind the scenes, but what I do know is that card games are developed by different teams. So we have the Dragon Ball team, who is the same people that it's been for a while. Yep. We have the One Piece team, that's different people, Battle Spirits, etc., etc. So when it comes to the individual team members, I don't think that their love of the game or their excitement to develop the game, I don't think that has changed at all. And the only reason I can say that is because I did get to talk to them a little bit at Nationals and at Worlds. Oh, yeah. And again, I can't speak for anybody, and I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but even at Nationals, everyone's excited to talk about Dragon Ball, and then they were telling us about what's coming up in the future. And even Fashbender was telling some of the cards, he was like, oh hey, we're really excited about this, and that was one of the things they relayed to us is how excited they were. And we can see that even if you didn't talk to them, I think you could see that in the pricing increase. So the regional pricing increase for this year is insane, to the point where a lot of people who were on this hiatus from Dragon Ball, because there are a lot of options with Bandai games and without Bandai games. There's a ton of options, even with Lorcana coming out, the Disney card game, which is, I'm scared when that comes out, because that might steal from everybody. I mean, that that might steal everybody's player base because it's Disney and that's where all the money's going to be, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
I think they've shown a level of excitement, and we have the digital client coming out, which was a big thing the community talked about for a long time. We talked about that for 2 years straight. Once the pandemic hit, it was okay. Digital client. Bandai's their video game company too, right? They can make a video game, and that takes a long time to develop. So in my mind, it's like, well, that comes out in the next 2 weeks. I feel like they probably took a year and a half to develop it, or if not longer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they have the actual commercial that they did show it at Worlds, but that's going to be like an official advertisement commercial for the Dragon Ball Super card game. And so, I might be a little biased here, but I feel like the effort that Bandai has demonstrated has not seemed like, we don't care about this card game anymore. At the end of the day, Dragon Ball sells very, very well. And this is public information. Dragon Ball sells better than Digimon product-wise. Now, Digimon tournaments were bigger than Dragon Ball, but we're here in set 20, you know what I mean? Right. Players, they're going to come and go. It's a very complicated, this is a whole different issue now, right? It's a very complicated game. I personally really like that complicated aspect. It's very much a lot to think about. There's a lot of options. You draw a ton of cards. You know how Dragon Ball plays. We play all the time, right? But like it's complicated, and that could be a barrier to entry.
That's a big
but in terms of like Bandai's thought and care about the game, to me, I feel like I had witnessed a little bit of a different aspect of that, you know. And I think we're here at this crossroads, and the game's been out for 5 years. I think it could easily go for another 5 years. But here we're going to go. Here was Dragon Ball pre-digital client, and here's Dragon Ball post-digital client. Do you remember that Mecha Frieza damn near killed the game in set 3? I don't know if you remember that, right? Because
I remember that. Like, I'm getting PTSD flashbacks from that.
I am too. Shigesh, response? No.
Yep.
So there were 300, 400, and 500 person regionals, right?
Yep.
During set 2. Set 3 comes out, and we have a 500 person regional in California, and I'm super excited. I couldn't go, which sucks, but whatever.
Yeah.
Oh man, we get 500 person regionals. That's crazy. Wow. And this is set 3. The game's still pretty new. Everybody hated Mecha Frieza. The next set 4 and set 5, the regionals were significantly smaller. We're down to 200 person regionals again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then set 6 comes out, and the Broly movie comes out, and we're back up to 3, 4, 500 person regionals. And now in set 9, we had back-to-back 500 person events, because we had regionals, and then we had the Tournament of Power, the unofficial regional, or the unofficial nationals, really, right? Those were 500 person tournaments. And then the pandemic hit, and here we are with these. Now we're back down 200 person events. The webcam era, you know what I mean?
Right.
So there have been like highs and lows, and certain parts of it have sucked, and some formats weren't as good as others, and people left, people came back. And I think now we're going to see, and this is me being hopeful, I think we have digital client, and then we have post-digital client Dragon Ball, where I'm actually expecting the digital client to bring in a ton of players.
I would love that.
Because
Absolutely.
That happened at that was like something you could see in Magic the Gathering when Arena came out. Arena drafted people to playing the physical card game, and now Magic is a billion-dollar property. I know we can't compare our game to Magic, it's too different, but you can't deny the effect that Arena had on the paper card game. You had Yu-Gi-Oh! Has Master Duel. And this is anecdotal evidence, I don't have any physical evidence, but I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Again because of Master Duel. And it was really fun for about a month, and then I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Again. But I went to locals. I went to Yu-Gi-Oh! Locals. I bought a real-life deck. I said, okay, I'm going to play this deck in real life. And it didn't... I can't say too much about Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm not a huge fan of it anymore. But I met several people who started playing it because of Master Duel. So when I think of... I'll wrap it up because now I'm talking a lot. When I think of, like, effort, I think the digital client... was a lot of effort. I think number one, digital client. Number 2, increased regional pricing. And then Um, I don't know.
I mean, those are good points.
Those are, yeah, that's it, right? Those are my 2 points. So,
You know,
yeah.
like, and after I made that video and I had finished editing and uploading it, immediately I'm like, wait, shit, the online client. I completely forgot to talk about that.
Yeah.
And you know, you're right, 100%. And I will take the L on that point myself, that I forgot about the online client. I was there in the crowd. I was sitting right behind Chris Spencer from Universe X TCG, actually, when they played that trailer. And I was right there. I was clapping. I was on my chair.
Yeah.
Like, I was so excited because
Yeah.
like you said, it is a great way. It can be a great way to increase the player base by showing people, hey, check this out. And first of all, loved the way that the leaders are like you know,
Yeah.
fully detailed, like fully animated figures.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see more of it.
And when you take damage, your character figure takes damage too. Which
Yes,
is, which
yeah,
is sick
I saw
as hell.
that.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to see that. I wish we could have gotten a little bit more information about it, because it does seem like it's starting from set 1 through 3, maybe. Which, I mean,
Yeah,
is a good.
we saw dual colors, which means I have no idea. We don't know what's going on with the digital client.
Right, it's coming
We're
out
gonna
soon.
find out in 2 weeks, though.
Yes, I cannot wait. I tried to get into the beta and I couldn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. That's one good thing. The increase in player count. While I was at Nationals, I did see, you know, just the love and passion for the game, and that made me feel amazing being there, because that was the biggest card event I've ever been to in my life. I've been to Chicago regionals, but going to Nationals was probably one of the highlights of my life. And you're right. So
top 5 DBS community moments in history is the reveal of the digital client at Nationals. Like, you know,
just to be there.
That was like, that was to be. Yeah, you had to be there. Is all I could say. It's like, you know. But
meeting all these other like content creators, like meeting you, meeting Eggman, Chris Spencer, seeing the you know, Super Players, Crossworlds. Like, pretty sure I saw Crossworlds. But
that's like community, you know. So it's like, I feel like the Dragon Ball community is tight. A lot of the people just know each other. I mean, like, just, I don't know, like the community, it's not that big. It's not the biggest card game community. And the benefit of that is we're tight. I feel like if I go to a regional, or I'll take Nationals, for example, I felt like I could walk around the room at Nationals at any point, and I knew like at least half the people there. And that's that's still 250 people. That's a lot of people to know, but it's like, when I went to the One Piece Treasure Cup, I know One Piece is a new game. There was same thing, like there was 500 people there. I like knew like maybe 20 people in the room. It was like a completely different feel of the community. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that might change with time, but whatever. That's like the only example I could think of.
Right.
But
I'm hoping though that in the future Bandai will look at doing the next Nationals like with an actual break for dinner and lunch, because that's still, I've never been so hungry in my life at the end of a tournament.
You gotta bring the snacks, man. I gotta tell you.
I wasn't thinking about it, and oh my god, it was nuts.
I will say, that's a tournament thing, right? The food scenario wasn't amazing. I mean, you know, I remember back when we were younger playing card games, you know, there was no DoorDash, there was no nothing like that. We didn't even have smart. I mean, I remember being 12 years old at a Yu-Gi-Oh regional and not eating for like 12 hours because the only thing I could do was play. No DoorDash, no cell phone to order pizza. Like, there was no vending machine, and the kiosk thing closed, and I was like, I'm just not going to eat for 12 hours, which is hilarious.
Just going to eat this cardboard if it keeps up.
That's how hungry you get, yeah.
So, sorry, go on. No. Well, I guess because I agree that the community is strong, and my locals is very small here. We at most have like 7 to 8 players for like a big tournament. We used to have close to 16, but fortunately years have gone by. People have dropped out of the game, and I've had friends talk about dropping the game because it's not to their. This will be in the next point I think we can make here, is that, and maybe you can agree with me on this, but the game just feels a bit stale in certain ways, where like, take this new set for example. It was delayed a month, so we went about 1 month longer in the meta than we typically do, and we were hoping for some big changes, some new leaders to really spice up the format. And really, Cumber is like the big one for me because he's been a leader I've been wanting for years. And I'm glad they put him in black. And he's like the only one that I'm going to look at playing because I feel like Yellow Boo was kind of, he's just not good. Like, I feel like he's nerfed himself in ways just because some of the cards limit him from being better than he really should be. Android 21, people have been talking about her, but people have also been saying a lot of her stuff works with the older Android 21, which makes the new one not nearly as good. Android 18, haven't heard a lot of people talking about that. Yellow Vegito, same deal. Like, it was a neat gimmick when it first got announced, but no one's really been talking about it, at least from what I can tell. Overall, it just seems like this set is a lot of new things that don't really amount to it, which then makes me think back on the previous set, which, besides like a handful of great cards like the Gohan rares and the like Black Smoke Dragon, certain staples that, you know, like, immediately people are going to run in every deck from now on, the leaders or the archetypes just failed to live up to hype, especially when Zenkai Block 1 came out with an absolute banger of leader set. Sin Shenron, Gogeta, Master Roshi, Helku. I thought these were all really fun, really great leaders to play, which helped show off the new mechanic, charging Z energy. But then when you go to set 2 in Zenkai, they made it a lot harder to charge up Z energy. And that was like, you start out high and then you start going low. You know, it just kind of, it killed a lot of hype for that set, or at least from what I read and my friend group here. And then this set just kind of once again felt like it's meh. It felt like a lot of it was a waste of cardboard. And what do you think about that? What's your thoughts on these last couple sets?
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like this is a cycle we've seen before, and it reminds me of early Unison Warrior block. Set 10, boom, brand new mechanic. Everything, not literally everything, but most of the decks from the past are now unplayable in this new mechanic block.
Yep.
And that was set 10. And then set 11 came out, and Jesus Christ, that was like the most powerful set we'd ever seen at the time. Then set 12 came out, and okay, these are still extremely powerful decks because set 12 was like Launch, Piccolo, Gogeta, Xeno.
Yep.
Still very powerful, but it just broke the game in this way that, like, wow, well, almost nothing is playable that isn't from these like 3 sets, and there's a few outliers, but these 3 sets are like controlling the game. And fast forward to the 2019 Nationals, or was it? I think it was 2021 Nationals actually is what it was, where Icarus won, Duval won with Icarus.
Yep.
Nothing was playable from sets. I might get these numbers wrong, but if I remember correctly, it was set 13 was King Vegeta, which was incredibly powerful, but it got banned.
Yep.
Then set 14 and 15 came out, and there were playable cards in those sets, but there was not a single leader from those sets in the top 32 or even the top 16. Not a single leader from the last 3 sets were in the top 32 except for Butters, who was playing King Cold. So everyone was playing Soul Striker, Icarus, Gogeta, Xeno, a couple Cell Surge players, and then Rohit's playing 21, whatever. And then Jared Lopez is playing 16. Always going to be a couple outliers, but the reality is that, like, we had these amazing sets that kind of defined the block, and then you had lackluster supporting sets. And I feel like here we are in this cycle. That didn't change until Realm of the Gods. Realm of the Gods introduced like 4 decks that were amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least 2 decks that were amazing, and then 2 decks that were fine. Ultimate Squad gave us Gamma, and I think one other deck I'm probably just forgetting.
Love me some Gamma.
Yeah. And then here we are, Zenkai. Boom, immediately, the whole game's changed forever. The best decks are Sin, Gogeta, Crimson, Trunks Sheeta's still fighting it out pretty hard.
Oh, yeah.
And whatever. And then the format develops over time. So, like, I agree with you. There are dips in, like, I don't want to say quality, but I want to say strength.
Yeah.
I think I'm not gonna lie to you, I've been playing a ton of One Piece. I can't lie.
Oh,
so
same.
I'm not as like caught up in
all this tier ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm not as super well versed in set 20. I'm gonna continue to play Gamma. I love Gamma. It's my favorite deck. I'm gonna keep playing it. I'll probably lose to 21, but that's okay. I could agree with you that the strength level of this set doesn't seem quite as high, especially when we had Sin Shinron and Gogeta come out of the first set.
Oh yeah.
Crimson was Realm of the Gods, but
yep, no one really
still
talked about
amazing
Crimson
leader.
until like later on. Like people think,
Exactly,
it's the new Soul Striker after they eroded Soul Striker. No one really did anything with it besides like a couple skillless builds and whatnot.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, just Nationals, boom, wave of Crimson.
Yeah. Exactly. When it comes to like Yellow Gogeta or Vegito or like Boo or Cumber or 18, I'll be honest with you, dog, I have not play tested a single one of those decks.
Oh yeah.
The only decks from the new set I played are 21, and I thought I was gonna be like, oh yeah, I'll just drop Gamma and pick up 21, but I'll probably just stick to Gamma. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah,
Gamma is insane. Now, if we want to talk about the game's staleness, I think that is a thing, but like at the end of the day, like that is an opinion. That is an opinion that I share. I am a little burnt out on Dragon Ball, I have to admit. There's a lot of shiny things in the distance. There's One Piece, and like I said, there's Battle Spirits, there's Lorcana. There's a lot of shiny things in the distance, but I think it has to be okay for me to say, hey, I'm going to take a break from Dragon Ball so I can play One Piece. And I kept my Pan deck I still have, my Gamma deck I still have. I'm still going to the Momocon Regional, so I'm still going to play in these events. I'm still going to play at locals, but I'm tired. I admit I'm a little burnt out on Dragon Ball too. So that's one of the things I can agree with you with, because I'm tired of all the damn floodgates in the meta. I feel like so many decks right now are just floodgate decks.
Yep.
And then, and as cool as it was to see, like, I think the only example I'll say that, like, I could contradict myself here. It was really cool to see the European players just figure out how to beat Crimson, and that was cool. So like the strategy was not the most exciting strategy to watch, because it was negate for 7 turns in a row and don't attack and then play a big boss monster. It wasn't the most interesting thing to watch, but it was interesting to see them adapt. Because if you had asked me the day before, I'd have said, oh yeah, Crimson is winning Worlds, it's the best deck, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But the European players and like Wanpo, who's the Asian player, they said no, Crimson sucks. Actually, we're gonna just build these decks, and we're gonna beat every Crimson player, and that's what they did, right? So that was pretty cool. And you even saw Marcus Cantarsi, who did Golden Frieza, an American player. He figured out how to beat Crimson. So
yeah,
you gotta and it's just like, it's one of those things where it was like, man, this is why I like Dragon Ball. Even though I do feel a little burnt out, I do like that there are these players who are willing to push the meta, and you have to find the way to do that. Now, I'm tired of the floodgates. I feel like Crimson doesn't really play a lot of floodgates. That deck's banned now, but I felt like so many games I've played lately were just trading floodgates, and then we'll play our boss monster. So I do feel like Dragon Ball can be a little stale right now. I mean, I agree with that, but that could just be like a passing fad to where all it takes, like I said, set 6 comes out. Holy shit, this game's amazing.
Yeah.
No,
like
I don't know when that will be, but I do know in my heart I'm gonna come back to Dragon Ball. Like, I like One Piece a lot, but let's be honest. This is my honest opinion on One Piece. It's Dragon Ball Light. I like One Piece because it's like Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna come back to Dragon Ball as soon as something speaks to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, 100%. That was very well said. I think that it depends on who you are as a person to define like if the game is feeling stale, because you could be like, oh, I love playing nothing but meta decks, this thing is amazing. You could be like me and some of my friends here, that we think the most fun matches we have are when we play some jank deck that's just not that's not meta relevant. Like, my buddy plays Black Raditz. Like, it's just the green Raditz leader just with a bunch of black cards, and he loves that deck. He built Soul Striker with Nappa skillless cards, and he loves that too. That's honestly kind of scary how good it is. And I think you also brought up One Piece, how that's also been a breath of fresh air to me, that I can play a card game it's incredibly fun. It is just Dragon Ball Light. Maybe it's kind of nostalgia talking. Like, I remember how feeling like this when Dragon Ball first came out. Everything was so new, and it wasn't nearly as complicated of a game as it is now. But that actually kind of leads into a secondary point, and I don't know if you agreed on this in my video, but the value I get when I buy a box of Dragon Ball is, now that I've played One Piece and I've bought a product there, I just feel like it's incredibly. It just feels like you wasted money unless you pull something amazing out of a Dragon Ball box. With One Piece, I can buy 2 boxes and be able to build essentially any deck in that format. 3 boxes just kind of guarantees me I can get all my pieces and possibly, get some really cool alternate art cards and leaders and stuff like that. When I bought my 2 boxes of the Power Absorbed on my pre-release, I was lucky enough to be able to kind of scrap together the new Invoker list. But I'm missing half the SRs that I need. But with One Piece, I was able to get play sets of all SRs from essentially 2 boxes. And to me, that's wow, I spent $240 and I have more than enough to build what I want, and I can even loan some out to my roommate who's a big One Piece fan. And with Dragon Ball, I looked at all my stuff and I'm like, what can I build with this? It's not very rewarding to invest in boxes, it feels like, anymore at this point. Because I said I wasn't even going to buy boxes, but I was in the moment. I won my store pre-release. So I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling good. I'm going to buy some boxes. And I kind of regretted it after that. What do you think about the value proposition when it comes to Dragon Ball in comparison to other Bandai games?
Yeah. Well, I think it's just like a multi-layered take.
Okay. I love those.
So, yeah. Gosh, let me think for a second, because this is actually a really good question, and there's so much that goes into it. I just want to make sure I can communicate this correctly. So, I do agree with you, right? If I'm a new player and I want to buy, because you want to crack packs, who doesn't, right? Everyone likes cracking packs.
Cracking a cold one with the boys.
Exactly, yeah. And I buy 2 boxes of the newest Dragon Ball deck, and then I pull all my cards, and let's say I want to build the yellow Gogeta deck, and I pull a bunch of good yellow Gogeta cards, and I still have to now spend $200 on old staples because I need Robotic Riposte, I need Krillin, Moments Before Comeback, I need Gohan, Piccolo, SCR, who knows what else? I need Final Flash, I need Release from Evil, I need Gohan, Unis. Holy shit, bro!
Right?
What the hell?
A lot.
Now, the problem with that is that we are in a much more mature game, and I would now I say we could compare this to Yu-Gi-Oh, where if I want to play a new Yu-Gi-Oh archetype, the same barrier of entry exists in Yu-Gi-Oh. So let's say I want to build, I don't know, what the hell's a Yu-Gi-Oh? I can't even think of one.
All I know is I play Yu-Gi-Oh and I wait 10 minutes to take a turn. So
right, I'm drawing a total blank. Let's say I want to play Branded Despia Fusion. I don't know. So okay, I buy. I want to play X new archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay, so I buy 2 boxes of Yu-Gi-Oh, and let's say I pull every single secret rare, ultra rare, super rare I need for that archetype. Okay, well shit, bro. Now I need Pot of Desires or Pot of Prosperity. I need Lightning Storm and Evenly Matched. I need Ash Blossom. I need Effect Veiler. I need Evenly Matched. I need, holy shit, Twin. Oh my god, bro. Look at all these damn I spent $200 on boxes, and now I need to spend another $200 on cards to play the game. And that is a problem of an older game. And you know who is amazing at fixing that problem is Magic the Gathering, because they release core sets. What Magic does is they go, okay, we're going to release core set in 2020, and it's going to have a bunch of new cards. It's going to have a shit ton of reprints of old cards. It's going to be relatively affordable. If you buy 2 boxes of a core set, you might not be able to build the exact deck you want, but you could probably build a deck that you could play at locals. And that might be a good answer to that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Mythic Booster.
Mythic Booster is a great example. You buy 2 boxes of Mythic Booster, you get a shit ton of reprints and you get cool looking alt arts. So that is a hard question to answer because I don't really know what the best answer is.
Right.
Yu-Gi-Oh is a thriving card game, and it seems like people don't mind spending the money. I will say for Dragon Ball, the answer is either buy a case or buy singles. I agree that it doesn't necessarily feel super valuable to buy individual boxes, because if I don't pull my secret rare, well, damn, now I gotta go buy a secret rare. At least with a case, you get some guaranteed secret rares. Excuse me. And the reason you buy a case is so you can have everything. I know there's a lot of players in our community who, like, I'm not the type of person to keep a collection, you know what I mean? So it's like, let's say if I kept my collection from set 1, I already have everything.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna buy a case so I can continue to have everything.
Yeah.
Let's say I only want to play Yellow Boo from the new set. Well, instead of buying 2 boxes, it's probably gonna just be more cost effective to just buy singles.
Yeah.
So those seem like the two. That's a good question. Now, the only thing I disagree with is I don't think it's fair to compare it with One Piece. Because One Piece, the card value is uncharacteristically high because of the lack of sealed product. Now, Bandai's already addressed that. They're reprinting set 2 in April. They're reprinting the starter decks this summer. But I know one of my good friends, his name's Steven. He plays One Piece. He has never once cracked a One Piece pack until set 2 came out. Because he could never find a pack at Walmart, and he could never find a box at a LGS. So he played the game, and he never once was able to crack a single pack of the game. And that's like a weird comparison. So, like, you're right. You did get most of the game. If you got 2 boxes, you got most of it. But there's only set 1 in starter decks.
Right.
And
true.
Most people I know were not able, unless you're a fiend like me. I was on it day 1, day 0. I went to every super pre-release I possibly could. I got like 10 copies of each starter deck because I went to like 10 different pre-releases. And I went to my LGS like the minute they opened, day 0, and I said, let me pre-order these regular starter decks, and let me pre-order this case. And if you didn't do that, you probably didn't open any sealed product of One Piece, or you opened very little of it. You know what I mean?
True. And One Piece is a smaller card base, so like that is understandable. That's very fair to say, like, I can't compare the two. But I guess if One Piece continues to do well, and which I hope it does, I want being able to pull 2 rares out of a pack, 7 SRs, Altar, secret rare per box. I hope Dragon Ball Super can learn, or maybe like adapt some of that in the future product, because it makes if you want people to buy your product or buy individual boxes, it makes it more valuable to the consumer, to the player base, if you add more value to a box. I can agree. I can agree with that 100%. I think the concept of the SPR is like the greatest thing about our game. I think I only play SPRs. I don't like playing SRs because unless I have to. If there's no SPR that exists, I will play the SR if I have to. Right, that good artwork and all that.
you gotta have the SPR, bro. You have to, in my opinion.
Right.
So I can agree with you there, right? I do like the idea of 2 rares per box, or 2 rares per pack, and a guaranteed amount. Which I know pull rates have changed throughout the history of the game.
Yep.
And I do agree, right? So we're here at this crossroads now of like, how do we increase the desire to buy a box? Because like you said, if I buy a box of the newest set and I don't pull my secret rare, I'm like, oh damn, I probably didn't even break even. You know what I mean?
Right.
And what if I really wanted to play the Boo deck? Well, I didn't pull 4 of my Boo SRs, so I can't play Boo. So
exactly. And all decks need SRs nowadays, so like only getting like 5 SRs is not feasible anymore.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a fair point. I think it might be something to consider, how to make players want to buy boxes. Because I know a ton of people who buy cases, and I know a ton of people who buy singles. I don't know that many people who just go to the store to buy 1 or 2 boxes, unless you YOLO it. I've done that before, where I go, oh yeah, whatever, I'll buy a box, see what happens. And then one time I pulled a secret rare, one time I didn't. Okay, well, I feel bad when I don't pull the secret rare, you know what I mean?
Right, no, 100%. And I'm looking at the time right now, and I know you told me we have a set amount of time to talk, and I cannot believe how much time just passed by with this conversation. I feel like we can definitely talk a bit more, and I definitely want to talk to you a bit more about this. But I guess to wrap it all up, like,
Well, before we wrap it up, let's cycle back to the ban list because I wanted to talk about that.
Oh yeah, yes.
Okay. They missed cards. I mean, that's a fact.
100%.
There were cards that they should have hit that they didn't. As for what they did hit, I don't have any complaints. Rest in peace, Champa. You will be missed. I think it's fine that they banned it because they could have banned it 10 sets ago and it would have been fair. And it's fair that they banned it today. Majin Buu, I actually expected to get banned, so the fact that it's limited is fine. I expected it to get banned, so the fact they limited is okay in my opinion. Crimson, I expected to get banned, so I'm okay that they banned it. Secret Identity coming back, I think is fine because I think it doesn't matter. Like, I had to think. I'm like, am I gonna play Secret Identity? Probably not. I might side deck it, but am I gonna? No, because like we have Broly, and then Broly gets power crept by the new Vegeta. That does the exact same thing, except it has combo power, which makes it better.
Oh, 100%.
And I don't know. Am I going to play Secret ID? Maybe. I don't think so. I play Feigned Greeting in Gamma. I love Vegeta. I love that card in Gamma. So
I love that.
I'm not playing Secret ID in Gamma. I have Cell, so who cares, right? I mean, I don't know. That's a good one. I'm okay with that one coming back.
Right.
And I think that was it, right? The erratas were just text
new
fixing
stuff.
erratas.
Yeah. What was something that you wanted to see hit that didn't? Like,
bro, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta 6 drop. Android 17 turning the tide. I wanted them to errata the Sin Shenron Z leader to cost 1 energy.
Yes, 100%.
I wanted them to ban 1 red card because holy shit, red is good. I wanted them to ban 1 yellow card because Trunks Vegeta is very strong in the current meta and it's going to be strong in the next meta.
With the new Vegito Floodgate, which is amazing. And
I don't know, like, you know, like I said, I've been distracted. I haven't been playing Dragon Ball, so some of my opinions are not as strong, but they did miss cards. I mean, to be honest, sometimes they're going to miss cards. Like, we've had ban lists where, in my opinion, they were 100% spot on and they did a great job. And we've also had ban lists where I felt like, well, shit, this sucks. Like, it is what it is, you know?
Like that time they banned literally every single red staple except the cards that we asked them to hit, which was Gogeta and Sin. It's like, no, we wanted these 2 archetypes hit. And they're like, oh, you mean red in general?
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not what we asked.
Right. You know, I would say the list where they banned Bojack, Violent, what's his name? The Bojack Aegis.
Violent Rampage.
Violent
I don't know,
Rush.
something like that.
That was a good list. I was sad at the time because of how much I loved Icarus, but that was a good list because they took away. It was Zamasu errata, couldn't bounce Unison, which is completely fair. That card should have never bounced Unison.
100%.
Galactic Buster errata, which was completely fair because that card was extremely broken in blue, and then Violent Rush Bojack. Also a broken card. That was a good list in my opinion. At the time I was sad because I loved Icarus, but hey, we moved on, you know. But that's just one example, right? So we've had lists that were good and we've had lists that were not so good. So it's like I think the question comes down to you know, is the game actually in trouble or am I just feeling burnt out and I want to play maybe something else?
Right. No, I agree. I think that One Piece has been that great breath of fresh air, but it also has helped me reevaluate my love for Dragon Ball, and I love building decks. I built up a deck the other night, and I uploaded a video, a Future Trunks reboot deck. I love that deck. It makes me want to just like go through my collection and build even more decks. And I love building decks and I love this game and I want to see it succeed. That's why I put out videos like I did, where it definitely came out as more venting than I had originally planned. Like, I spent my entire day thinking about what am I going to say, what are my points are going to make. But as soon as I started talking, I just went one thing after another and it became a rant. And
bro, but I think it's good too because, like I said, I've done more than my share fair talking about Dragon Ball and Bandai and the card and that card. I think it shows that you're passionate, and I think, you know, our community, like I said, we are small and we're a little tight knit. But we are very compassionate about the game, and I think that is, for me, I don't think I'm gonna lose hope because I see that it's like, okay, well, our community is very compassionate. When a video comes up like your video, oh, there's 100 comments, and it's like, oh, so people are engaged. It's just like, what do we get engaged about? You know what I mean?
Right. 100%.
So, you know, but yeah, so the ban list, they missed cards. The presentation of it, I didn't pay that much attention to it. I thought it was weird that it came out at 11 p.m.
Right.
But I will say, I don't think that it was, we're just going to throw this together for no reason. You know what I mean? So like, if I actually sit down and I think about why each card was chosen, it's like, well, this, in my opinion, it all makes sense. Why is Secret Identity, why are you able to unban it? Oh, it's because everything either has barrier or is already better than this card, right? Like,
right.
It doesn't make sense for me to say, okay, because you play against Trunks Cheetah and everything has barrier. You play against Gamma and they don't, it either has barrier or it's a 9-drop and it can't get hit.
Yep.
And maybe you can hit like 1 or 2 cards off the field. Okay, that's fine, right? It's good against Bulma. Shout out to Danny. He just won with Bulma. Secret Identity is good against Bulma. I'll give it that, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I part of me feels like they threw that on that list because Bulma won again.
because he won again.
They're just like, no, we have to end this. We can't let him keep playing Bulma. This is ridiculous.
They could have rotted the Videl to say no non-super combos because, you know, you can play loop. 10 super combos in one deck. They could have routed that card. This is just it's stuff that they can do, you know. So
it's stuff they choose not to do, but
yeah. But I don't think it was a last minute decision. I think if anything, releasing it was the decision, like, because I felt like they wanted to probably hold it until, again, this is just speculation. I would think they wanted to hold it until Friday, but if you saw that post, every single post on the page was ban list, ban list, ban list, ban list, ban list. So, you know, ban list, they're like these big things that they take a lot of time. They take a lot of reason. They take a lot of time to think about it. I think they wanted to do the official post with everything on Friday, but because everyone was pressuring them so much, they said, okay, we're going to release it now. And then I think we'll get the official post following up on that at a future date. But
right.
In terms of what was on the list, I do think, even though it was a miss in my opinion, I do think there was still a lot of time and effort put into it, because we remember this from Mecha Frieza days, right? Where Bandai says, well, we want the players to find out how to beat a deck. So like, if I want them to nerf Sin Shenron, okay, well, the players figured out how to beat Sin Shenron. We played Crimson and we beat Sin Shenron, and now it's like, okay, the company wants the players to find a way around the deck before they just ban it or before they nerf it. You know what I mean? So it's like, maybe that's why they didn't hit certain cards. Like when they hit Violent Rays, you know, it might be heads. It's like, damn, why'd they hit Violent Rays? But it makes sense is because Sin Shenron is a 20k leader. So we can't give this 20k leader a card that says you can't attack with 20k cards, right? So like, it's just like, they want to give the players the chance to beat a deck before they take it away, because that feels bad for everyone who's playing that deck. So like, if I don't like playing against Sin Shenron and it's like, well, I want Bandai to ban it. Well, what if there's a player who likes playing against Sin Shenron and then Bandai just bans it? It's like, well, you have to think about that player too. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. It's going to be a very interesting meta going forward now that like the one leader they all look to like stop Red is now gone. Yeah. And Red's getting new support and Yellow's getting new support.
Ton of good cards.
Yeah. So I'm going to see how Blue handles itself. I'm a Blue player at heart, not going to lie. And I even agree that certain Blue cards needed to be banned and limited. Only Boo did, though. Wasn't planning on Crimson, but I thought Piccolo the Infiltrator was going to get hit just because that card's value proposition. And that was kind of like the big one, honestly. With how diverse the meta was, with how many different leaders were being played. When you look at the color pool, most of these leaders were blue, and then of course you had Sin and Gogeta, which I just think those two decks are going to be a problem and will continue to be a problem because they gatekeep the color red as a whole. Because if a new red archetype comes out, people are going to immediately compare it to, is it better than Gogeta and Sin? No, don't play it. They can't ban Sin or Gogeta because then literally every single card that came out in that set, in that color, becomes useless because they're all, if your leader's SS4 Goku and Vegeta, or Vegeta GT. Yeah. They can't do that, which it's understandable, but it's like, well, what do you do then? Do you nerf the leader? Do you ban the leader and just say, screw it, we'll move on to the next one? I just feel like they will eventually have to do something to those two leaders in order for the color red to diversify, because it's going to happen. It's going to essentially be another Soul Striker situation where they're like, stop playing Soul Striker, play something else. Oh, you won't do that? Cool. We're going to nerf it. Now we're going to make you play something different.
Right. And then we just played the other Soul Striker.
Right. It's like, how many times do I have to tell you, old man?
Like, please play. Somebody play Pan, please. It's like, we rebooted the Pan leader. Stop playing Gogeta. Play Pan one game, please.
Dude, I love Pan. Pan's a solid leader, but it's just not as good. And same thing with Android 13. Solid leader, and I think it actually could hold its own up there. Vegito also, but like, it's just, when you think of the color red, it's Gogeta and Sin.
I think Gogeta and Sin. And Yellow's in the same problem.
It's Trunks Vegeta.
it's Trunks Vegeta. Like, what other deck is competing? Like, they've released like 6 different Yellow leaders, maybe 8. I don't remember the exact number of set releases, but it's been quite a lot of Yellow leaders, and it's like, well, no one's playing it. We're just gonna play Trunks Vegeta, bro. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's just that deck is just too good. Golden Frieza, love seeing set 1, representation. It's great. Green is Gotenks. You're playing Gotenks, and that's it. Black, you're not playing Black unless now you're playing Supreme Kai of Time, which got that support from the Legacy set, which my last point I should say is I love when they bring support for older archetypes. That reinvigorates, that's the word, older sets that can see play again, and I love that. Instead of like releasing sets like, making a new archetype that's not good in a new set, how about you release a set that's literally just all old archetype support? Give me red Frieza swap. Give me a set that's Goku lineage support. Give me Cell support, like, or Blue Boo support. Just when you do that, you can bring back older cards, just like Vegito. Vegito came back from the
set 2. Vegito
came out of nowhere with 2 cards. Just 2 cards brought that to like a meta standpoint. So if they can do that with all these other archetypes, like Goku's lineage, one of my favorite archetypes, would love to see it come back. But
so I think and I'm glad you mentioned Vegito, because the coolest thing Bandai can do now is Z leaders. It's the coolest shit ever.
Yep.
Z leaders are one of my favorite things about the game in the more recent game, I should say, because I don't have to reboot an entire leader. I can just give it a Z leader. And there's a ton of leaders that are like almost good, and then you give them a Z leader, and they don't all have to be as good as Red Vegito, because that one is like insane, right?
Yep.
But it's like, there's so many leaders that are like kind of good or almost good. If you give them a Z leader, we're in there. We can play this now. I think Supreme Kai of Time was a great example as well, because it was completely unplayable. And then shout out to Sawyer. Sawyer got top 8 at the LCQ with Supreme Kai of Time. I know it topped a couple regionals. I mean, not regionals, but Zenkai Cups. I know it topped. So it's like, legacy support, no matter what card game, is every card game player wants legacy support for their favorite archetype. That's an easy way to get people to like you. Like, that's an easy, more legacy support, the better. It doesn't even all have to be broken. If they release like a card for Garlic Jr., people they'd be like, oh, cool, we get to play Garlic Jr. again, even if it's not broken.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, stuff like that. More legacy support. More, if they're going to release a new archetype, make it actually playable. Like Gogeta and Sin are the examples of that. A brand new archetype that is self-sustaining, throw in a couple cards from other sets, boom, you got a great archetype and a great deck to play. And it sucks when you have decks like Gogeta and Sin, and then you have new decks like Yellow Boo, which you see it, what it's trying to do, like with the 1-drop. Its ability is, when this card is played from your hand, draw 1. But the leader ability lets you KO a Majin Buu card in your hand, and then play it from the drop. But the card says you can't draw if it's played from the drop. It has to be played from the hand. So it's why did you purposely do that? It could have been a really cool combo, and you could have made Boo a viable leader for Yellow. Because it can be. It's a little generic, but just enough of an archetype that you need the other boot cards with it. But I don't know. To me, it just feels like if you're gonna print support, like you're gonna print new cards, I wish there would be more testing involved, and or like if the archetype's gonna be actually good, don't just throw out an archetype just to meet a quota. It feels like,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing too, because then that brings up the question of balancing. Is like, well, I'm not a card developer, and it's like I don't really understand cards that well, right? So it's like they always, it's like a joke. Is like players want their cards to be broken, and it's like I want my cards to be insanely powerful. But like, then how do we do that without power creeping the entire game? And how do we do that without like unbalanced? Because like. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's just it raises like a further question of like, how do we do this without? Because it's like, I don't know, man. Like really, like some amount of cards do have to be bad if you really think about it. You know what I mean? Because it's like if they release 8 new leaders and they're immediately better than the past 8 leaders, well then we
get into a Yu-Gi-Oh situation where
power creeps so it's like it's like the best deck ever of all time. Actually is unplayable in 6 months. So it's like the best deck that's ever existed in the history of the game in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the deck I'm playing today. 6 months from now, it's completely unplayable garbage. It's like, well, I would never touch this deck. You know what I mean? So
right.
It's that's a tightrope to walk. You know what I mean?
Yep. I know, like, and that's just part of me like venting a little bit of like my feelings towards the game, and it's this has been a very good conversation. I feel like
I think so.
Yeah. I guess. Because we're a little over the time limit you gave me. One last thing. Like, what was... Because you mentioned, you did agree with some things I said in the video. I don't know if we covered all of that throughout this video. Like, was there something that I mentioned in that video that you did agree with that we didn't touch on, or...
I mean, like I said, I think we touched on it all. Like I said, I didn't write anything down. I just kind of walked into this. I was, they missed cards on the ban list. They did miss cards. And that's the reality we're going to live in now.
At least till the next set.
Until the next set. The big thing I disagreed with, though, is I feel like Bandai does care. There are a lot of other things that are happening within a company, and it's like, okay, there's One Piece, Battle Spirits. They have Union Force coming out in Japan. It's their other card game. They have
Digimon.
Digimon. I forgot about Digimon completely. But it's but the team, the Dragon Ball team, I feel like is still very passionate, and they still care very much about the game, and they still care about the community. So, I don't think that Bandai doesn't care about Dragon Ball. But I do understand the frustrations as a player, because some, like I said, they missed cards on the ban list. Some of those cards are frustrating to play against. Playing against Turning the Tide is lame, because if I don't draw Jiren, I lose the game. Playing against
8-drop Gogeta, if you don't play a Dirty Burst or like one of those cards that affects the player, you're done.
Exactly, there's not like a ton of amazing answers for that card in general, so that card can be frustrating to play against. And like those are just some examples, right? So, but like I said, so my final point, my closing point would be like, I definitely do feel like Bandai still cares about the game, because at the end of the day, if not anything, the game still makes money, and like that's what Bandai wants, is money. So as long as the game still makes money, the game sells well. It is a high selling game. Even if Digimon has, and One Piece, they have more players in their tournaments, Dragon Ball still sells very well. And I think we are kind of on the cusp of the next era of Dragon Ball. Right now we're in the webcam era. And the webcam era has had some shit, bro. Like webcam is not perfect. It's not. But now we're going to move into the digital client era, is what I'm going to call it. And I'm very excited for that. I like that, you made the video. I like that the community is still passionate about Dragon Ball, even if people take breaks. I take breaks. Other people are taking breaks. It's good to have that passionate community, because that means we have something to come back to. And I think I have my fingers crossed really hard, but I think the digital client is going to do a lot for our game. I think it's going to increase our player base and it's going to increase interest in our game to the point where we're going to start having these 300-400 people events again. And I say again, but like Nationals was 500 people. The webcam from last weekend was 256 players sold out. So we're already really there again. All we need is a few like IRL regionals to hit 200 or 300, and we're gonna be like right back in there, bro.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you know, it's just this definitely has reinvigorated my like passion for the game, and I really hope so. I really hope that drives in more people. Like I have so many old cards that I essentially have a community box that like if people want to start playing, like I got cards, I got, you know, resources for you, and I want this to succeed. It's some of the best times I've had in the last couple of years. I've been playing this game with friends. You know, it's at the end of the day, I want to see it succeed, and sometimes I gotta look like the bad guy and talk bad things about a company because I'm like, I know you can do better and I want you to do better. It's like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. And you know, until then, like One Piece is still always a fun game to play on the side, and I really hope, you know, for a better, brighter future for the game. But
I mean, we want the same thing because like I want to continue to play Dragon Ball. It's my favorite card game ever. It's nothing has changed that. It's still my favorite card game ever. I just want to be able to play it. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. But all right, I think I'm going to let you go though, man, because I don't know what you got planned for the night. But hey, thank you so much once again for reaching out and talking to me. And this has been a great conversation. I'm going to immediately edit this and
awesome.
get it ready to go for tomorrow. But hey, any shout outs, anything you want to say to close out?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to everybody, bro. Shout out to the community, man. I love you guys. I love the community. It's just great going to anywhere in this whole damn country and having friends. I mean, that's you think about it, right? Not everybody can go to Minnesota or Iowa or just some youth. I could throw a dart at the country. If I go to that state and I find some Dragon Ball players, I know I got some friends in that state. So that's the coolest thing about the Dragon Ball, man. Shout out to the community, you know, my team, your team, everybody's team, bro. Just shout out to everybody, bro.
Hell yeah, man. I love it. But all right, if you guys like the video, please like it, share it, put some comments down what you thought about the video, what are some of your opinions. You know, maybe if this gets a lot of traction, you know, we might have to you know, do another one with some other guests in here. Having a big round table discussion.
Yeah, that could be fun.
All right, well, perfect. I'm going to close out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care now.